How good will Daniel Jones be for the New York Giants in 2021? We got to talk about it. I want to give a special shout out to the sponsor of this video, Manscaped. So Manscaped recently just launched their Lawnmower 4.0. And listen, if you are a guy who does a lot of shaving underneath, the Lawnmower 4.0 is the perfect tool for you because listen, my first time shaving a couple of months ago went terrible. I had a bunch of scrapes, I had a bunch of bruises, and I also had patches because I didn't finish the job. So when Manscaped sent me the Lawnmower 4.0, I used it, and I was a little bit scared, okay? Because I was like, I ain't trying to give myself patches and give myself injuries like I did last time, my first time shaving. But when I used the Lawnmower 4.0, let me tell you guys something. It was a easy process. I had no scrapes, no bruises. It was no pain. Listen, if you're a guy who does a lot of shaving underneath, make sure that you guys go ahead and cop the Lawnmower 4.0 using my promo code JT for 20% off plus free shipping off your Manscaped purchase. Once again, make sure that you guys use promo code JT for 20% off your purchase plus free shipping. Your balls will thank you. 2021 is a very critical year for New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Now, last year, Daniel Jones threw for 2,943 pass yards, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions while completing 62.5% of his passes and 11 fumbles. So Daniel Jones had 21 total turnovers last year in 2020. And Daniel Jones really costed the New York Giants, I believe, had a chance of making it into the playoffs last year because when Daniel Jones was not turning over the football, you want to know something surprising? Oh, guess what? The New York Giants pretty much won the majority of their games wherein Daniel Jones didn't have a turnover. But in the games when he was having multiple turnovers, fumbles, interceptions, he costed the New York Giants. So this year, there's really no excuse for Daniel Jones not to perform. This guy was a first-round pick a couple of years ago, and you can make the argument that, okay, he had to go through a new coaching staff and whatnot. He didn't have the best offensive line, didn't have a great team around him. You can't make that excuse no more for Daniel Jones in 2021. It's time for Daniel Jones to come out and prove to everybody why he was deserving of being a first-round pick. Now, Daniel Jones has Kenny Galladay as his number one wide receiver on the outside. Kenny Galladay is an absolute monster. I believe that Kenny Galladay is a top 10 wide receiver in this league. Now, Kenny Galladay was so good that when he was on the field for the Detroit Lions, he pretty much made their offense better. But when Kenny Galladay was injured, which he was injured often throughout last year, the Detroit Lions offense looked entirely different. Now, you're looking at a guy in Kenny Galladay who can catch a bunch of 50-50 balls. He's also very good in the red zone. So Daniel Jones has a pretty big downfield target to throw to. You also got Darius Slayton, which I think Darius Slayton is a good slot receiver. He was also kind of barred down with injuries last year in 2020, but he was also fairly inconsistent. You also have Kadarius Toney, the rookie wide receiver out of Florida, who is going to be the guy who gets the yak yardage, makes a lot of things happen with the ball in his hands. You have Saquon Barkley coming back fully healthy. The offensive line hopefully should be a little bit better this year than what it was previously last season. So Daniel Jones has everything at his disposal offensively to be successful. As a matter of fact, you still have the same coaching staff. You're not going to have to learn a new system. You don't have to learn a new playbook. You still have the same head coach in Joe Judge, and you have Jason Garrett returning as your offensive coordinator for the second season in a row. Like I said last year, New York Giants fans, Jason Garrett is a pretty good offensive coordinator. Last year, I felt he did a pretty good job, but I really felt like Daniel Jones turning the football over so much, there really wasn't anything Jason Garrett could do to, avoid that other than trying to run the football more. So Daniel Jones has everything to have a good season. On top of that, he has a really good defense. As a matter of fact, I believe that New York Giants will have a top 10 defense this upcoming NFL season. The thing with Daniel Jones really is just turning the football over, because what I've observed from watching Daniel Jones, and I've seen a pretty good amount of Daniel Jones over the last couple of seasons, is that Daniel Jones can move the ball downfield. He can get the offense into the red zone, but a lot of his turnovers comes inside the red zone. Sometimes he would just make dumb decisions with the football. He'll try to force something that isn't there. And on top of that, he has a major issue when it comes to fumbling the football. And a lot of the times it's not even him fumbling the football outside the pocket. It's him fumbling the football inside the pocket. Like, the biggest strength of Daniel Jones is also his biggest weakness. Is that his biggest strength is the fact that he's not afraid of pressure. This guy will stare pressure down in his face, eye to eye, and he will have no fear in the world. Like, this guy does not have any sense when it comes to how he reacts to pressure. This guy is one of the toughest QBs I've seen in the NFL. Like, this guy would step up into two defenders coming at him and still throw the football. But also the fact that he's not scared of pressure is also his biggest downfall, because a lot of the times he doesn't sense pressure and he ends up fumbling the football. So you look at Daniel Jones, the biggest task this offseason is going to be for Jason Garrett to get Daniel Jones out of the habit of holding on to the football too long, taking unnecessary hits, and taking care of the football, lowering that turnover number. Now, I can live with interceptions as long as you're not throwing 30. I can live that. But I definitely can't live with a quarterback that has 11 fumbles. And Daniel Jones didn't even play all 16 games last year. He missed a couple of games last year due to injuries. So Daniel Jones, I feel like if he can slash that turnover number at least in half, that he can be a pretty solid quarterback. Now, I think I've kind of already have a feeling the kind of quarterback that Daniel Jones is going to be. I think Daniel Jones is going to be a slightly above average quarterback. I think Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback that he's going to be good enough that you're not going to be tempted to draft another quarterback or pick up another quarterback in free agency. But I also think that his ceiling is pretty much maxed out. If he can lower the turnover numbers, he'll probably be like a top 14, top 15 QB in this league. But with the ground game going with Saquon Barkley, you should be able to run the football more effectively. You should be able to take the ball out of Daniel Jones' hands. And on top of that, I would like to see the New York Giants utilize more of Daniel Jones' athleticism and his mobility, because Daniel Jones can move. You saw that big scramble that he had Thursday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles, which he somehow ended up tripping and stumbling and didn't score the touchdown. But Daniel Jones has a lot of athleticism. I would like to see Jason Garrett kind of open up the playbook a little bit more in his second year as the OC for the Giants. I would like to see more RPOs. I would like to see more read options. I would like to see more design quarterback runs. Maybe throw a quarterback power in there, a quarterback draw in there. Like, I really feel like Daniel Jones is really kind of being a little bit underutilized with the New York Giants. Like, I feel like there's a little bit more they can do in terms of how they utilize Daniel Jones. Like, the guy has athleticism. We know the guy can move. We know the guy is really effective running the football. So why not give him the opportunity to run the football a little bit more this year compared to what he did last year? Now, given he did struggle with injuries, maybe they wanted to try to keep him a little bit healthy. That's why they didn't run the football with him that much. But, you know, try to get his legs more incorporated into his game, because I think that's a really underrated aspect of Daniel Jones. So me personally, I think Daniel Jones, if he lowers the turnover numbers down, I think he should be good enough to get the Giants to the playoffs, because the Giants have a already good team. The offensive line is still a little bit shaky, but I don't think it'll be all that bad. So with the defense they have, I think that Daniel Jones really doesn't have to do all that much. He really has to just hand the football off to Saquon Barkley, throw the football downfield on play action pass plays to Darius Slayton, Kenny Galladay. I don't really think Daniel Jones is in a situation where he doesn't have to do all that much. I think he's kind of like in the Baker Mayfield situation. Baker Mayfield last year with the Cleveland Browns, with Kevin Stefanski in his first year as his head coach, he didn't really have to do that much. All he had to do was take care of the football, hand the football off to Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, find a way to get the ball to Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, David Njoku, and that's pretty much it. Baker Mayfield didn't really have to carry the team on his back all that often. I think that's going to be the same scenario, the same situation that Daniel Jones is going to be in this year with the New York Giants. You got a great defense. You have a pretty good group of wide receivers. You got one of the best running backs in the NFL playing, and Saquon Barkley. So you don't really have to do too much. So just take care of the football. Don't turn over the ball that much. And, you know, play within the offense. And I think Daniel Jones could have a solid season. I could see Daniel Jones throwing for like 3,000 500 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, and hopefully, you know, only like 2 or 3 fumbles. And I think that would end up being a pretty solid season for Daniel Jones. So let me know how good you guys feel Daniel Jones will be down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content, and thanks for watching.